Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do an anemone. I'm going to use templates again. Like all of my new videos now, I am going to be uploading templates onto my new website. You'll find that in the section below where the description of this video is. And right, so I'll take you down to my board. So there you are, you can see the templates that I've cut out. So this is double anemone that I'm doing. It's one specific type. There are lots and lots of different types and different shaped petals in anemones, so it's a matter of finding out online. I got my pictures from a site called shutterstock.com. So if you go on there and have a look and see the ones that you want, but for this particular video I'm keeping it simple with this one because some of them have a lot of petals on them, you know, so it's just a matter of deciding which is the right one for you. And this one will be easy because you will have the templates for it. Right, so first of all, when I make the petals in this particular flower, I will be doing them in white paste. It's a bit off-white is this. If you want really white ones, then you'll need to put some whitening into your paste when you're making it. You can find the recipe on my YouTube channel. If you go to the main channel and have a look at all the things, you'll find the recipe in there. I don't like the look of that. That's a bit mucky, so we'll get rid of that. Been kneaded quite a few times, and because of the oil in your skin, you tend to find after time it gets a bit darker, and it's nothing that you've done yourself. It's just that even if your hands are the cleanest that they are, you've got oil in your skin and it does affect your paste. And it doesn't matter whether you're using this flexible paste or whether you're using normal flour paste. So I'm just going to knead this to get this going because this is a fairly new batch of paste. While I'm doing this, I have made the centre of the anemone using normal flour paste because I had to make some up to do a cake the other day, so I was doing something else that needed normal flour paste, so I'll just put that to one side and I'll come on to my flour paste and do the centre. What you need to do before you start making your petals, and you can do this all at the same time because this normal flour paste will set faster than the flexible flour paste. So I'm just going to roll a ball of paste. That's a bit big. Just take a little bit off that. I tend to like the centres a little bit smaller than they are because if you get them too big they look a bit ugly. Right, so for that I'm going to use a 24 gauge wire. Where are we? 24 on side. There it is. You can use either a 24 or a 22 gauge wire. It depends on what you've got, you know. I mean, if you haven't got lots of different wires and you don't want to be going out buying wires especially for something, it's not a wire that you use a lot of. The wires that we tend to use most of the time are 20 gauge wires for single wired flowers, 26 gauge and 28 gauge for petals and leaves, depending on the size of the petals and leaves. I'm just going to cut this into 3. Just put 2 of those to one side because we don't need those. I'm only going to do 1. And the best way to do your top is if you've got a pair of long nose pliers like these, and if you just get hold of the top like that, curve it round, curve it round like that, so you've got a loop at the top. Then if you get your pliers and bring that down, and try and bring your wire round as far as you can, so you can get your down wire in the centre if you can, like that. It's just to hold the paste, that's all. Then if you push that into your paste like that, and then pull it underneath your loop like that. This is because we need to flatten it on top rather than putting a hook in it like we do when you do roses, and then just flatten it down so it looks like a mint imperial, like that. Okay, and then you can set that to one side to dry. So I've got a dry one here that I did yesterday, so that's already there. So I'm just going to put that to one side. Now if we get onto the petals, I'm going to put some white fat on my board. Then roll your paste out. Now I did try doing this anemone with just one layer of petals wired, and the reason that I'm not doing it that way this time is because I found, if I show you the flower, this has been drying overnight, so this is the flower here, the petals are dropping back on it far too much because I only wired the inner petals there. Whether this will set and stay in place, I don't know. I'm just going to have to wait and see. But all I did with those was just glue the edge of the petals, but I'm not happy with that one. So I'm going to wire all of the petals. So you need your paste fairly thin, but remember you need to get a ridge. If you're using a ridge board, you can go as thin as you need to with your paste, because you've got your ridge on your board, but I'm using the ridge rolling pin to do this. So because you're going to go thinner when you roll your paste out with your ridge, like that. Now I'm only going to cut out one of each of the petals, so that's the smallest one. That's my medium one. And then that's the large one. Now you need, I don't know why I've put 3 on there. You need 5 of each of these for this flower. So I think I've uploaded the wrong numbers onto my website. Sorry, beg your pardon. Yes, you want 5 of each. I have put the wrong numbers on here. So take no notice of what it says on there. I will alter that at some point in time. I'll go on and redo that. And just cut round each of your petals with your cutting wheel. It doesn't matter if you go a little bit larger or smaller, it's up to you. You don't want all your petals to be identical. It's like I keep saying, nothing is perfect in nature. Right, so that's those 3 done. So just pop those to one side. So here I've got some 28 gauge wire, white wire. You can use 26 gauge wire, but I'm going a little bit thinner with these because they're not that big, apart from the largest petal. what you need to think about is when you deciding what wires you're going to use is the weight of your paste and how large your petals are. The larger the petals or leaves, the higher, the lower the number you want for a stronger wire for the weight. You get used to that when you're making a lot of flowers over the years, you know. I mean, it used to confuse me at first. Sometimes I used the wrong wires, and now I'm finding that wires were bending under the weight of the petals or the leaves or whatever, and it's because I'd used the wrong wires. All I needed to do was to use a slightly stronger wire, and it's getting used to the fact that the higher the number, the thinner the wire. That sort of you need to get straight in your head in order to understand how it works. Right, so I've got those onto my pad. I'll just get those out of the way. And then I've managed to get some colour on there yesterday while I was getting ready for this video, and go around the edge of your petals. You can do it on either the right side or the wrong side, whichever. In the case of these, it might be a good idea to thin them on the right side, which is the side opposite to your ridge. Oops, wet. Just make sure you go round your petal the same way, coming round that side. Turn that over. Now, I've not used a veiner for these either, because a lot of people don't have all the tools. If you're just starting out, you need to know whether you're going to enjoy doing it or not, so you don't really want to go out and buy lots and lots of equipment if it's going to be something that you're going to find you can't get your head round, you can't get into, and you're finding it difficult. So the best thing to do is to start off with something like this with templates and just have a few simple tools. So obviously for this I'm going to use the silk veining tool to put the veining, which you can use on a lot of petals. So again, like we've done before, start off in your centre, roll out in a fan motion like that, the way that the veins will go on your petals, like that. I've stretched it very slightly, but it doesn't really matter. So again, that's the smaller one. Roll them out in a fan motion, round in a fan motion. I find it easier to do it on my hand rather than trying to do it on a pad. You can't get into it on a pad. You've got a lot more control if you do it this way. And the large one. Like that. Right, so that's those done. Then what you need to do, I've got my foam pad here with all my bits and pieces. I'll just move those dried ones out of the way. And then if you get your petals and get them into one of the dips like that, it's always a good idea to give your paste a bit of cut, but get it between your finger and thumb so you're not going to have your wire coming out of your paste, and then drop it into the hollow like that. Same with that. As I say, you want 5 of each of these. So don't take any notice of the numbers that it says on the templates on my website, but I will try and get on and alter that. I might have even done it by the time this video comes out, so there you are. We've got those into your things, so into your foam, so you can dry those, and they're all ready for when they're ready for the colouring. Right, now then, I'm going to get some green paste out now, and I'm going to do the back part. You can do all these parts in advance, because the advantage with flexible paste, because it stays flexible, you can do everything in advance, get everything ready. And I like to leave them so that they're sort of drying, because it's a flexible flower paste. You're not going to get a stiff paste. And the advantage, of course, is the fact that you're not going to get things breaking very easily. I mean, anybody that does wedding cakes will know that it's always the dicey part, getting it from you to the venue, and things can get broken, and you know, you have all sorts of problems. Right, so I've cut this piece out, and what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to simplify this now. Although I've put this on the website, what I'm going to do, and I found this with one that I did, I'm just going to cut that bit off the bottom there. You don't need that. Then go into the bottom, round, and all I'm going to do is just go around like that. Just keeping the outside of the shape, like that. Because it's very complicated to cut this out if you... Oops. Let's get that. Oh. Let's lift that up again. Get that onto my pad. Onto there. Just got a little bit there that I need to take off. That bit there. That's okay. And then if you get your Dresden tool, which is this one here, with the heels on it, and you can either use the wide end or the thin end, and then just get onto it and just go around it like this, and just give it some shape. But you're also pulling bits out as well, so like that. Just keep lifting it off, so because you're going to stick to your pad a bit. And do that on both sides of each of the shapes. I mean, if you were going in for a competition, then you have to put more detail into them, you know, but this isn't competition work. If you were doing this for somebody on a cake, they're not going to know the difference, realistically. So once you've done that, then again, you can take it to your foam, drop it into one of the heat hollows, like that. Hang on. There we are, into there, like that. And put that to one side to leave that to dry. Now I'm not doing any leaves with these. The leaves are similar sort of shapes to that, but you can do different sizes in them, so I'm sure you can do that sort of thing freehand, or draw it out, or whatever you need to do to make a template. Just get rid of that paste. Put that over there. I'm done with those. Right, so the next job we come on to is to colour the centre and to colour the to do your stamens. So what I've done here is I've used black cotton. Now some of them have yellow centres, so it depends on which one you're doing, so it's a good idea to go online and have a look. If it's one with a yellow centre, then you will need yellow stamens for it. This particular one has got black stamens in it, but I haven't done the centre of it. I'll show you one that I've done. I haven't done it black. I've got a mixture. I don't know what colours I've got in here, but it's sort of like a bit of a reddy grey blacky colour that I've mixed up there, rather than doing it totally black, because in nature flowers aren't naturally black. They're always verging on sort of like a purpley or a burgundy or a bluey finish. Although they're called black, they're not black as in black as we know it, black as soot I should say. So sometimes you need to sort of mess about with colours a little bit just to get it just the way that you want it. So I'm just having a look to see which is the pollen that I've used for that. I have put it somewhere where I can find it and forgotten where I've done that. and I can't lay my hands on it, so I'll come back in a second, and when I found out where it is, oh dearie me, my battery's run out. Shit. Right, I haven't found the colour that I was looking for, so I have found my black, so I'm going to use that. So, oh, there it is. So the thing is with this, you need to make sure, because you've done this in white, you need to make sure that when you put your glue on your centre, is that you make sure that you totally cover the centre of your that you're going to cover with your pollen. Now you might find it easier to put it into the glue, but that won't go into my glue bottle, so I'm going to have to use the brush anyway, which has come out of the top again. If you get hold of these little glue bottles, these are easier because you can make a load of glue up and then you just keep refilling it up. So we're just going to paint all over this with plenty of glue. Be quite liberal with it, because if you miss a bit, it's very difficult to cover that up. I've got some on my fingers, get rid of that off there. And then you want to go into your pollen. Don't matter so much about that little bit showing there. So we've covered that, so you can put that to one side to dry. And then, in the meantime, I'm going to make some more of it because I haven't got enough of these stamens to go around it. You're going to need about 5 or 6 of these. So what I've done there is, it doesn't matter what kind of wire I'm going to use. I've used green wire, but I've got some white bits here. So you need your bobbin of cotton, and this is black cotton. I managed to get a box of black and white, because if you're going to dye any colours, then you need the white cotton to be cotton, not polyester. Polyester won't take the dye, but I got a box of assorted of both black and white, so there we are. It's very difficult to get hold of. I found this on eBay. Right, so I'm just going to drop my bobbin down there into my lap. Just bring my camera up a little bit more here so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to use 4 fingers, wrap that cotton round there. So I've gone twice there, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. My usual thing, 50 when I'm doing stamens. It depends on what you're doing it for, but if you're doing single lot of stamens, then 50 is fine. But these things like anemones and poppies and things like that have a lot of stamens round the centre, so you do need quite a lot. So we'll cut that off there like that. So now I've got my loop of cotton threads here. So if you start on one end, bring your wire over, then give it a twist to make sure that that stays on there. Then the best thing to do then is to get your long nose pliers. This is where these come in handy for so many jobs. Get that on your wire and use that, keeping a tight grip on it, to twist your wire. It's a lot easier than trying to do it by hand. Try and get it as tight as you can, like that. Then we'll do another one at this end. Oops. I'm not doing the whole way, you need to leave something to tape onto your centre. Twist that on first, get that going, and then in with your pliers, and again get that nice and tight. And then when you've done that, now I'm going to do 4 on here. So if you open that together, get those 2 wires together. This is so you more or less get your stamens all the same size. And then again on that end, bend it over, twist it on. If you're using thin wires, which I would recommend for this sort of job, then it's a lot easier to twist it on. But again, like I said, to get it really tight, it's a lot easier to do it with the pliers. Just straighten that up a bit. That's on there. Then have I got another bit of wire somewhere that I can use? Anything will do. A little bit of the green there on that end. Again, twist it in. Any odd bits of wire that you've got left over will do for this job, but it needs to be thin wire, so don't try and use anything that's too thick. Right, and just bend that back down again. So now you've got all your 4 wires on. So what you do now, I mean, anybody who's watched me before has seen this done before, but remember there are people that haven't watched my videos before. It may be the first time, so that's why I'm going through it again. So, somewhere, there they are, I've got some small scissors here that are quite sharp. If you get your scissors in between the loops like that and just cut through. Did pull some through a bit there that, hang on, some that I've missed there. And again. Missed some. This is where you need to be careful, just keep an eye on it to see where you've missed anything. That's it, it's better. You can trim any straggly bits that you've got afterwards, but at the moment it's just a matter of trying to get them reasonably the same length. Now we can take that one off. In the trade we call this a chimney sweep's brooms, if you know what I mean. There's some there. Take that off. And then the last one. Get your wires together. Might have to go in and catch a few straggly ones on this one. Yes, I have. There. And again. Right, then what you can do then is you get all your bits and pieces like that and just take the straggly bits off, just neaten the ends off. Bit like hair cutting, getting it between your fingers and straightening them up like that. That's more or less right. Try this one. That one's not too bad. If you can hear humming outside, it's because they're bringing yet another cable company coming into our area, and they're digging the street up. Again. And they've just blocked my path off, so I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get out with my dog when I take him out for the walk. Right, so there we are. So, once you've done that, then the next thing to do is to get some tape. I'm using half width tape here. Do I need to cut some? No, I can manage with that a little bit, I think. So stretch your tape to find out which is the sticky side. That's stuck to my finger there, so it's that side. Then if you get your tape started on your wire, nip it in and twist, and then bring it up at an angle to bring your cotton together like that. And this is where you need to take your time, just slowly get it in, some of the cotton like that, and then come down. And that went together a lot better than it did yesterday when I was doing them. I always dread the fact that if it goes wrong when you're doing it, when you're doing a video, you can mess about. But like I said before, in all my videos, if anything goes wrong, I don't cut it out. Because when you're doing it, if it goes wrong, you don't know how to put it right or how to persevere with it, do you? And a lot of people cut these things out. They always show everything so perfect. And I'm telling you that I don't care how professional they are, things go wrong. But they won't admit it to you. Right, tape down. So that's another one done. We'll just do one more. I think we should have enough there. See, it all depends on the size of your centre. If your centre's small, you won't need as many. If you make it too big, you will need a lot more. So, trick is, the smaller your centre, the less of these you will need. Oh, and I wish they'd have all gone like that yesterday when I was getting all my bits and pieces ready. Right, now I'm not going to bother putting any lacquer or anything on them to stiffen them up this time. I'm making this as simple as I possibly can to make it easier for you. So I'll get my centre. That's the wrong one. No, it is. That's the right one. And I'm just going to cut some more tape. I'll get my trusty little tape cutter wherever I've put it. No, that's the wrong one. There it is. Here we are. If you haven't got one of these, get one of these. These just make life so much easier cutting your tape. Just going to feed that into there. Whatever you do, when you've got one of these, don't stick your fingers in there and try and pull it through, because the razor blades that are in there are very sharp. Don't want anybody cutting the fingers and getting blood all over the place. But the advantage is, get hold of the end like that, pull it down onto the tape, and you've got your half width tape. And if you leave all the blades in, the 3 blades in, you get quarter width tape. Right, so I'm just going to get that started underneath my centre. Doesn't matter where you start it, you're just getting it started at the moment. Right, so that's on. You can push that up underneath the centre and then start feeding the centres in. Sorry about that. My dog's heard somebody near the door. Very noisy doggy. But it comes in handy, it keeps people away that shouldn't be coming to the door. So he's my little guard dog. I'm just going to put another one in there, just to finish that off there. And then you can tape down once you've got those in. Now it does give you quite a thick back on there, so that's something to bear in mind. You can go around and you can even your stamens out. Now you could, if you wanted to, put some pollen on here. I haven't put any pollen on. They are a little bit uneven, those, but normally I'd spend a bit more time on them, getting them all even. So I'll just put that to one side. Just get rid of these bits of cotton. So the colour that I'm using on this, and it's a copy of the one that I found online. I'm using a colour from Edible Art called Dusky Pink. It's a little bit different to your ordinary pinks. It's a little bit off on the sort of slightly peachy side, but it does look quite really nice when you've dusted it on. So I'm going to get, I've got left one of each size petals to dust. So I've got my brush that I've used for that. So get some powder onto your kitchen roll. Only a bit, don't get carried away, because when you get towards the end you don't want to be wasting it. And then start dusting down from the edge of your petals. But I'm only dusting down to there. I'm leaving a little bit of white at the bottom. You find with a lot of anemones that the petals, even on the darker coloured ones like the blues and the deep reds and purples and things like that, that they have got this little bit of white at the bottom. Now I couldn't see in the picture whether these have or not, but I'm doing it because it's a habit when I make anemones that I do that. Right, so I'm just going to pop that back into the foam just to reshape that again while I colour the other petals. Now you can do them whatever colour you want. It depends on what you want. I mean, if you're doing a lot of them, then I would do them all different colours, because generally when you get bunches of anemones, they're usually assorted colours rather than all one colour. Don't forget to do the back of it when you do it down to the same level. Pop that back into the foam. One of them. This just proves that I work from home, doesn't it, when you've got the dog barking in the background. He's a lovely dog and he doesn't bark that much, but if he hears a noise outside, that sets him off, doesn't it? What you've got to remember is that dogs and cats, when they hear a sound, it's 9 times louder than what we hear. Their sense of hearing is very sensitive, so they can hear things we can't hear, and it may be a long way off. Right, so that's that done, so I've just popped that back in to shape that. Right, so I'll get rid of that, and then I'm going to get a green out. I've got some, that's probably a bit light green, and just see if I can find a darker green. Rainforest, that'll do. So I'm going to dust the, I'll just find a green brush. and that's for the piece for the calyx for the back. So I'm just going to get the dust off my brush and give that a dust all over. I'm going to dust it on both sides because I don't know which part's going to be showing when I do this. Some of these I did cut out the shapes when I was cutting them out, and I found it complicated. That's why I decided not to do it when showing you how to make them, because I still had to go around with the Dresden tool anyway. I thought, well, what was the point in cutting little bits out when you can just use the Dresden tool to get the effect, to make it easier for everybody. Right, so that's those dusted. Just get those onto there, out of the way for now. Get rid of that paper. And get some tape out. 2 pieces there, we should have enough there. Get my centre and start putting it all together. So this is when it starts coming back into its own and looking like a flower. This is the part I love, when things start coming together. It looks so effective, especially when people make comments about your flowers when you show them what you've done. Like a neighbour of mine, I had him downstairs. He came over for a coffee, and I said, do you like my flowers that I've done on my YouTube channel? And she said, I was looking at those. She said, I thought they were real flowers. That's what you call a compliment. I'm not adjusting them at all yet, I'm just getting them on. But you can overlap them, because they will overlap, like you would do with a rose. Just get your finger and thumb between it and then bend your wire down. That's the best way to do it. You can worry about where they sit once you've got them wired in. And you've got your initial tape round. Doesn't matter which side you overlap on. You can go whichever way you want. Oops, I think that one's come off the wire a little bit. I just readjust that. The same as you're getting in the way a little bit there. Better. Right, once you've got those in, you can have a look to see if you need to pull any wires down. That wire wants to come down a little bit. No. petals in there, that's it. And tape down. By pulling the wires down, it just makes sure that things are not going to move around a bit. Once you've got to the bottom of your wire, take that off and start your tape off again underneath your flowers there, your petals there rather. Right, once you've done that, then you can get your next set of petals. Oh, I've got that wrong way around. That's twisted round as that. Just bear with me a second. I'll just twist that back round again. Better. And then you can put your next layer of petals in. Hey, Chance, give over. Now your next lot of petals want to go halfway across the join of your previous layer. And make sure you're trying to keep your shape of your petals while you're doing this. And the last one goes in there. And tape down. Right, so get another piece of tape and start that off. And again start directly underneath your petals. The only trouble with this is you can't start lower down and slide it up when you're doing this, because the tape will hold it, it won't slide up. It's not like when you're doing it on a bare wire and you can move around with it. So then we want your next layer of petals. You could bend all your wires down before you start as well if you want, if you find it easier doing that. I always find that wired flowers like this look more realistic because the petals can move around a bit. Just a preference, everybody has their own different ways of doing things. It's what suits you and what you find easier to do. All I can do is show you the way that I do my flowers. I do love this flexible paste. You can't go back when you've got onto something new like this. So much better. As I say, a lot safer because there's less chance of breaking anything. Right, so that's all the petals in now. So you can go in and you can pull your petals in, make sure they're nice and tight in. And these are more important because obviously these are your outer ones and they're going to hold everything else up. And it's at this point you want to make sure that your tape is nice and tight in covering your wires up. You don't want any bits showing, and the other layers underneath, it doesn't matter so much, but it does with the last layer because you don't want to be able to see that. So there we are, that's all your petals on. So the next thing to do then is to add the calyx, and for that reason what I've done is I've made up some paste here, which is actually, where is it, there, which is actually this paste mixed with some more glue to make sort of like a bit of a gloopy. That's a little bit soft, is that, a bit firmer is that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit more glue to that. Because they're both made from the same sort of things, it will set harder because there's going to be more Tylo in your glue that you've mixed with this, or CMC, whatever you use. Tylo's just a trade name, it's CMC. Right, so I can get a small piece of that. I'm going to do it this way around so that they're going to flick back a bit. So put that in there like that. So I'm just putting 3 of these on. Make sure they go right up to your wire. The fact that I'm using white, when it dries, it'll blend in with the white bit at the bottom of your petals. So if it is seen, it's not going to be seen, if you understand what I mean. Let's press that down into place, like that. There we are. So that's the back of your flower, and that's the front of your flower. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope I'd love to hear back from some of you how you get on with your flowers. Don't forget you can subscribe to my channel by if you're not already a subscriber. You need to leave your flower upside down, by the way, when you've got these on until this sets. And if you've got any comments about anything or anything you'd like to see, then please let me know in the comment section below. It'd be nice to hear back from people and see the flowers that you've done. Now you can do that because I have my website now, which again I'll put the website address in the comment section, in my description section below, and you can get in touch and send me pictures of your flowers. Don't forget you can download the templates from that website as well. If you go onto the second page, I've just got some samples of flowers and cakes on the front page, and then on the next one you've got all your templates. And what you can do is, if you copy and paste into Word and then save it as a picture, Make sure you save it as a picture, otherwise you can't print it off. And then you'll be able to print off your templates and you'll be able to do like I've just done now with your flowers. So, yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Stay safe. See you soon. Take care.